Hello. In fact, I'm your host, Patrick McDonald. This is the first episode back after a long absence. If you've noticed, there's some changes here. This should be the first episode up on YouTube. There is video here. You can see my face. You can see my new co-host here. One of my new co-hosts, that is Finn McDonald. He's going to be on for all of the MLB podcasts, um, at least most of them. I'm going to have another co-host on for the NBA podcast. We're about to start up a preseason series, which goes over every team individually in their own 45-minute episode about their preseason, going over the offseason and expectations for the regular season. That's coming soon. That should be starting a couple days after this episode's uploaded. Um, Episodes are going to start coming out every other day now. Finn here will be in the next two episodes. They're both going to be MLB episodes consecutively, and a lot of the NFL episodes are probably going to be cut out. I think there's a lot of other people who can do NFL stuff a little bit better than me, so I'm going to point you in that direction. Anyway, this episode is the worst contracts in the NFL or in the MLB draft. This is inspired by Bill Simmons. He does this all the time with NBA's contracts. Figured nobody's doing this with MLB, and this is something that I think is a good thing to do. And me and Finn here, we work together. We've, time to time, it comes up at work. Dang, this is a bad contract. It came up at work. Maybe you could hop on the podcast. Here we are now. The NBA shows will be starting on the 17th. This should be going out on the 13th. The other MLB episode will be going out on the 15th. Quick warning, the first two NBA podcasts, the Hornets and the Hawks, they have slightly worse audio quality than this one will be. And all the other NBA podcasts that have already been recorded. There was an issue with recording with my laptop mic instead of my headset. Anyway, I think that's all of the public service announcements that I have to make. Now introducing the bad contracts draft. Alright, so how this operation is going to work, me and Finn are going to take turns picking what we think are the worst contracts in the MLB. This practice, or this act, is going to be done based off of what is still remaining on the contract, and the past years of the contract don't really matter. So it does not matter if somebody has missed 2 of the last 3 seasons, right? Or it doesn't matter if they've won 3 MVPs on the last 3 seasons of the contract. We're going based off of what we think will happen on the remainder of the contract. It doesn't matter if they've already produced on the contract. We're taking every contract as if it was just signed today with the remaining amount of money on the contract. So the first 5 seasons of Mike Trout's contract do not count. The remaining 6 do. That is its own contract, and that is what we're going to be drafting off of today. We're going to tell you the remaining value. We're not going to snake picks or anything. We're just going to go back and forth. There's not really too much of a contest here. There's nothing else that I think we have to go over. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Finn, you've been sitting here for 4 minutes. Go ahead. You can introduce yourself. Maybe address the topic. Do whatever you feel like for a second.
My name is Finn. I've been an MLB fan since 2016. And currently, I've been working at order entry with this guy.
Yep.
Let's just get this thing started.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my first pick is Xander Bogaerts.
All right. Now, what's the remaining
$225 million over 9 years.
All right, I'm gonna decrease this font a little bit here. Just you go ahead, explain why you think this is the worst contract in the MLB, Finn.
I think this is the worst contract in the MLB because it takes him through his age 40 season, and he has just not been good.
Yeah.
He's been playing second base poorly. His offense has just been bad, nowhere near how it was on the Boston Red Sox.
Certainly.
And I can't expect it to get any better.
Yeah. I mean, he's significantly taken a step back since signing this contract. And even that being said, it's hard to project him to be better going forward. And it's a crazy long commitment. Like you said, 9 years, a ton of money. Um, it's not a good one. And, San Diego might be on here a couple times, I would assume. We're going to have 10 picks each. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. So San Diego being on here a couple times, it's probably not a good thing. Um, you got any more notes on Xander Bogaerts? Because I do believe I have my next pick, but I'm going to let you say anything that you might need to say.
My other notes are I won't get into it, but I do think San Diego could have better spent that money.
Yeah, certainly. They didn't really have a need to bring him in. They already had two
Big
shortstops.
time.
Uh, yeah, not a good one, to say the least.
They could have better done it bringing their pitching back instead of paying that ass contract.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I'm currently deciding between two names. Uh, I think you'll take the other one if I don't pick them for one of them, but I do think this one actually is. Uh, Actually, this one's not as bad as I thought. All right, so the second pick in the draft. I have to do the math on the remaining time, but the second pick in the draft, I am taking Chris Bryant. Um, Remaining amount on the contract is 4 years at 104, I believe. Yeah, $104 million. Uh, you know, not a good contract. Purely based off of what he's done, it's already been bad, but he's aging now, and you can't really expect him to bounce back. Um, they have it for another 4 years. It's a huge percentage of their luxury tax. Not a good deal at all. He's almost unplayable in a lineup that sucks, and he's in cores. So anything you have on Chris Bryant here, Finn?
Yes, I do. I do not expect the Colorado Rockies to be World Series contenders at all during that contract. And it's also the timing of things. You just traded Nolan Arenado. If you're going to trade Nolan Arenado, you need to be tanking.
Exactly, and maybe it is allowing them to tank because now they can't spend that money on other good players. But certainly a really not good contract here whatsoever. So if that's all you got on Nolan, go ahead. It's your turn for your next pick here, Finn.
I gotta see how long it is, but I'm gonna go Carlos Rodon to the New York Yankees.
Okay. So Carlos Rodon. You got the terms on that?
I gotta pull it up.
Okay, you pull it up. I'll talk about Rodon for a second. So, yeah, Rodon. I spelled Carlos wrong. Yeah, Rodon is obviously he had two really really good seasons. He's bounced back this season. He had a horrible first season in the Bronx. I'm sure the reason you're doing this. It's just the pure size of the contract. Um, it's a little debilitating. Um, yeah, I, I'll,
Currently, he currently Carlos Rodon has 108 million over 4 years left.
okay. So similar to the Chris Bryant contract in pure size.
That and I can't say I think he's gonna be any better than a league average starter, and that's more than league average starter money
Yeah, certainly, and
by
it's
far.
over a long period of time as well. Um, not a good one whatsoever. I agree with you, Finn. Um, yeah, I'm gonna hold off on this one for a second. Yeah, I don't think that one's as bad. Um, yeah. So, anything else you got on him, Rodon?
Honestly, there's also the health issues. I don't know that I can expect him to be healthy and to get the innings that a contract like that deserves.
Yeah, certainly. Not a good one whatsoever. Um, yeah, I have my next pick ready. I think this is a pretty normal one. Giancarlo Stanton, Finn, will be my
If
next
you hadn't
pick.
just said that, that would have been my next.
Yeah. Um, I'm sure you have a couple other names ready, so it probably shouldn't kill you. But yeah, basically all I have to say on Stanton. This deal was signed so long ago, and at the time it was probably pretty fair. But um, at this point in time, Stanton is. It's probably best that he isn't in the lineup for the Yankees. He has to take up a DH spot, and he doesn't hit well enough to take up a DH spot. Um, Even though like the terms of this deal are not actually that bad moving forward, it's only 68 million over 3 seasons. You know that's still you know $22 million a season affecting the Yankees. They can't spend it on other players, uh, and they can't they can't bring in a DH to boost their lineup, and I think they're really seeing it right now with Judge and Soto that they cannot add to this team when they have a couple of the contracts that they do have on roster. So if you have another pick ready, unless or if you have something to say about Stan, go ahead.
I do have something to say about Stanton. I am surprised to see him still in that Yankees lineup. Yes,
Certainly.
that's a lot of money, but when you're trying to contend, performance is all that matters.
And the performance just isn't there at this point. I think there was a season a couple years ago where Stanton was ranked at like 99 on MLB.com's top 100 list, and people were a little enraged about it. And I was like, well, it's kind of generous considering what he is at this point. And yeah, it's just a really bad contract. Yeah. Anything else in Stan, or do you have another pick ready?
I got another pick ready.
All right, Finn, let me hear it.
This is going to stun you, but I'm going to go with Mike Trout
All right.
at 212.6. No, 212.7 over 6 years.
Oh yeah, that is a rough one to say the least. All right, here, give me the elevator pitch.
The elevator pitch is really that the guy just needs to get on the damn field, and I don't trust him to do that anymore.
Certainly, and then
That
another
and
part to
is
that. Go ahead.
that and I do not know how much longer he's going to be able to play center field, which is a big part of his game.
Yeah, certainly. Maybe a couple more seasons. The reality to it. Um, Injuries suck. The length and annual value on that is actually really staggering. I'm kind of surprised we only had it right there. It could have maybe gone a couple picks earlier, despite obviously the really good name value. And like when this deal was signed, nobody thought of it to be a bad deal, but it's just played out really poorly. And you know, here we are now.
I I had my first two picks above that because I could still see him coming back and being an above average league hitter. I just don't know if I could see it being in center field. It could be in left, it could be in right, or he could have to be a DH.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, Finn. I think that's a fair assumption. Um, I'm going to go back to a team that we've already selected from. And honestly, you could argue that this one is a little bit worse than maybe my first two picks, honestly. But I'm gonna give it a little bit of time before I really put that declaration on it. Past two seasons, his OPS plus is only 113. Manny Machado. Um, those were the first two seasons on the contract, so they're not counting anyway. But those were the cheapest two seasons on his contract. Originally 11 years, 350. Those years only were 34 million combined. So remaining is 316 over 9 years. So lining up perfectly with that Xander Bogaerts contract. Machado's clearly a little bit better than Bogaerts. Like Machado's still an above average hitting and defending third baseman, but he is.
Is you said 316?
Oh yeah, you're right. 316 over 9. Um, just with a little bit of regression, suddenly that might even be worse than Bogarts. Um, which I mean, that's a little hard to do. And yeah, like we said, these Padres might have multiple deals on here. This is one that I kind of circled going forward. Right now, you know he's already borderline even worth that money that he's getting. Lord knows what it's like 4 years from now, and even at that point, it'll be 5 years remaining on it. You got anything on Machado, or do you want to move forward to your next pick?
Machado, yeah, I definitely see the hitting falling off, especially in the latter years. And I just don't know if I could see the defense staying the same.
For sure, yeah. It hasn't been a good start to the contract, and his age is not working with him. Um, so yeah, certainly one of the bad ones. I would agree. So going forward now, Finn, your pick here.
I am gonna go with Nolan Arenado of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay.
Let's see, 45 plus 31, $76 million over the next. No, not 76. Take away 24 from that. That can be 52 over 3.
Okay.
And he has just been absolutely terrible, and given his age, I expect that to continue.
Yeah, and you had hit on it earlier with Chris Bryant. Maybe this is why um, Colorado was kind of wanting to get off of this deal. I did look at this deal, maybe for this in the range where I was making the Stanton pick. Um, I don't think it's quite that bad, but I could definitely see this Arenado deal not being a good one for sure. Um,
I also I also think St. Louis could be having a much better use for that contract. Like boosting up their starting pitching.
yeah, for sure. Um, you got anything else on Arenado before I make my next pick?
I don't.
All right, yeah, this is one that maybe should have gone a little bit earlier, but uh, I want to, you know, maybe we're being a little nice on this one. Yeah, Steven Strasburg, Finn. Um, maybe it's because he's not in the MLB. We forgot him for a second, but He's making, what is that? $47 million over 2 seasons. He's not even playing anymore. So, yeah, not a good one. That's 47 million down the drain for the next 2 years that they can't spend on anything else. So, yeah, I don't know what you got on that one. You want to hit on Strasburg for a second?
Yeah, I do. The injuries are just tragic with the nerve damage, but at the end of the day, that's a lot of money to pay to somebody who is not playing.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and the fact that he cannot play as well. Some of these other guys, it's like, oh, well, he can't play very often, like you said with Trout, but um, fucking Strasburg just literally cannot play. He's medically retired. So yeah, not a nice one to have there whatsoever. You got the next pick here, Finn. It's all up to you. What you got?
I got Anthony Rendon.
Oh yeah, I have that one pulled up right now. Actually, it's going to be my next pick. Um, you go ahead and talk about it. I'll get the number pulled up.
I have Anthony Rendon because he's going to be making nearly $40 million over the next 2 years to not be healthy.
Yep, he hasn't been healthy. We're not focusing too much on him not being healthy, but you know,
Oh,
he
and it
he
doesn't
hasn't.
help when he's getting suspended for grabbing fans' shirts.
Yeah, even beyond the play on the field, there's so much bad stuff about that contract. Outside of it, not liking baseball, I think is probably the most Angels thing of all time. You have a guy who you've committed all that money to. Um, yeah, it's not been a good one. Um,
I'm I'm pretty sure he even went out and said he wanted a shorter season.
yeah, because he doesn't like baseball that much too. Like that was the main uh, part of the deal. Uh, yeah, that's basically all we can say on Rendon. He does not live up to that deal whatsoever. Um, I got another one here. Um, Javier Baez is my next pick. Pretty simple. Um, you know, hasn't not been good as basically since signing this contract. He has been one of the worst players in the league. Remaining amount of money on this deal is 73 over 3 seasons. Not at all worth that contract. Um, he's honestly, if he was not making this money, he would be getting DFA'd, and he's stuck on the roster for another 3 seasons after this deal, or after this year, where the Tigers. This is reaching Chris Davis levels of maybe not badness because remaining time on the deal isn't as bad as Chris Davis's contract, but he's just so inept, and they basically have no way to get off of the contract. You got anything on Bias?
And and yet I am still surprised that he has a job. If the Tigers were anywhere near contention, he would not have a job. That is how bad he is.
And think about it this way: if they didn't feel entitled to play him because of that money, there's a very good chance they're in a playoff spot right now. So yeah, not a good one whatsoever. I maybe we could argue that we went a little bit out of order selecting some of these guys, but yeah, basically every deal here I don't think is a very good one. So you got your next pick ready?
I'm gonna go with Trevor Story.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Tell me about it.
I'm going to tell you about it while I'm pulling up the numbers, but he has just not shown that defense. He has just not shown that fat. He has been ass,
To put it lightly, just
and he has been hurt.
yeah, and they're winning now in spite of Trevor Story not being there. Um, going
That
forward,
money,
the money's not worth it. Going forward, they probably want to play guys like David Hamilton and Vaughn Grisham over him, but they're not going to be able to because of the money tagged onto Trevor Story. Do you have the remaining terms on that pulled up yet?
I don't.
Okay. Go ahead and say what you want on Story. I'll pull that up for you.
Yet another guy that if it wasn't for the money tag, he would not have a job.
Certainly, it would.
I am honestly surprised that with either Baez or Story, they do not just cut their losses, because it would be better for them as a team.
Let me add up these numbers here real quick. So yeah, it's almost the same as Baez. It's 73.5 or 72.5 over 3 seasons. Um, barely less than Baez. Not a good one. Yeah. Anything else you have on Story here before I go forward and make my sixth pick?
I don't.
All right. Let me do a little bit of digging because we've selected a lot of the really bad ones here. Um, so, all right. I'm gonna do one, and no, this one hurts me, Finn, because I set out a bet a while ago that this guy was going to find himself again, and I'm still holding out hope because he did. But he's never really seemed himself when he's been healthy, and he's run into a lot of injury issues. My next pick is Christian Yelich. Um, sure, he was probably on pace to be uh, an MVP candidate if he was healthy this season, and I predicted a couple years ago that he would bounce back. He finally did it, but you look at what he's done recently. It's a left fielder who's barely above average, hitting wise, and then you know, just a lot of not good stuff. Certainly, you got anything on Yelich?
Yes, I do. Like you were saying about the health, it doesn't matter what his pace was. He wasn't healthy, and he's not helping his team.
Yeah, certainly, a lot of bad health for him. And projecting going forward, it's hard to say that he might not get hurt again. And these injuries have stopped him from performing at the MVP level that you would expect Yelich to perform at. 88 million over 4 seasons. Christian Yelich on the contract. You got a next pick here, Finn.
I need to pull up the numbers, but I'm going with Salvador Perez.
Okay. I'll pull up the number while you get your spiel off on Salvador Perez.
My spiel on Salvi is that he's a very, very overrated catcher when it comes to defense. He is ass at defense. But
Mm-hmm.
he's still a catcher since he is nowhere near good of a hitter to be playing first base.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Finn. If I tell you that he has 1 year remaining on his contract, does your opinion here change?
Yes, it does.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure you don't know that he only has 1 year remaining. Um,
I thought he had 2 or 3.
okay, no. He doesn't. So I'll give you another second to look for another guy. I'll go ahead and touch on Salvi because he might come up eventually, but yeah, it hasn't really been a good one for them. Uh, yeah.
Let's add up. Get 34-2, 49-3. My pick will be Andrew Benintendi. It was 49-3 over 3 years.
Okay. That is for sure a really bad one. Go ahead. Uh, what's the what was it? 49/3.
Yes.
Okay. Give me the elevator pitch, Finn.
My elevator pitch here is really just that he fucking sucks. He hasn't been with the team.
Yep.
He's been
That's
really bad. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure he's so bad that he's in the minors in the Chicago White Sox organization.
Yeah. I don't is I don't know if he's in the minors, but he is not good. And yeah,
No, like, I'm about to Google it. I'm actually pretty sure he's in the damn minors.
wow. I didn't even know that. That is horrible. Um, yeah, let me know what you hear on that point.
Okay,
Yeah, then
actually, no, he's not in the minors. That's my fault.
he's just hurt.
So I don't know if he's even hurt. Though he did play a couple of games in the minors this year, which I guess was just on a rehab.
Yeah, that's probably just rehab. Um, yeah, biggest contract in White Sox history. It shits hit the bed instantly. To put it lightly. I have my next pick ready, so if you're ready to go forward, we can go forward.
I'm ready to go forward.
All right. My next pick is Dansby Swanson. Now, generally, I don't like to, uh, you know, this has been a guy who I've been very cold on when it's been popular to be hot on him. Um, this year, going into the year, I was actually, lukewarm on him this year. Um, yeah, it hasn't been good. 137/5. Um, the only reason we probably didn't pick him earlier is because there is some valid reasoning to assume that he won't be as ass as he's been this season. Um, but again, that contract could be really debilitating in the future, just because of the sheer number of it. But the fact that he plays shortstop really well at least gives a nice floor for this contract. You got anything on Swanson, Finn?
Yes, I do. I hope he bounces back offensively, but if he doesn't, that number is just. I'm sorry, it's not worth it.
Yeah, certainly not worth it. Uh, you know, it's not looking good on that end. What do you have next, Finn?
I have Shohei Ohtani next.
Okay, this is a big one. Go, that's gonna be a
It's
tough one to put.
6:30 over 9.
Okay, yeah, I'll get that down 1 second. Um, go ahead.
Okay, but I'm going to
Plead
go ahead and give
plead
my
the case.
spiel.
Yeah,
My
plead the
case is that
case.
70 million is too much for a DH. He's coming back from a second Tommy John surgery.
Yeah. Um,
If he's a league average starter,
It's
he's not worth $70 million. Dodgers played for an
yeah,
MVP candidate and Cy Young candidate. I don't think he's going to be a Cy Young candidate, so I don't think the contract is worth it.
and even more to be said on this deal. The deferrals on this contract go so far back. The 360 over 9 is pretty, it's not exactly how it works. You and me have gone over it before. This Otani contract was essentially one $1.4 million or $1 billion.
Billy.
Yeah, $1.4 billion for Otani. It's basically how much the Dodgers will be paying in luxury tax over the next 10 seasons. It's going to be 46 million, and then the actual payments in the future will be $63 million or $68 million for the 10 seasons following that. It is a great financial impact beyond just the money that they're going to be paying him. A lot of this, there's going to be a lot of opportunity cost with this contract that we're not sure how it's going to play out. But like you said, if he cannot pitch at a Cy Young level, I'm not sure if this contract's worth it. How bad it gets really depends on how he ages on both sides of the ball. You got anything else on Otani?
Honestly, like you said, that luxury tax hit is insane.
Yeah, I mean it's that is debilitating to say the least.
What percentage of the luxury tax is that? That is a lot of a percentage of a luxury tax.
It's close to 30%, maybe even over, and that's going to be when he's not playing. I'm pretty sure.
That's the issue. 33% of the luxury tax when he isn't playing.
Here, I'll pull it up real quick to get the exact,
Ouch.
so we're not lying to people. And like a lot of people will be like, well, they're gonna make the money back anyway because it's Shohei Otani. It's not about making the money, you know. I think we had talked about this. Yeah, the full 68 counts against the luxury tax. So, uh, that's gonna be debilitating. He's going to count against their maximum spending when he's not on the roster for over 10 years, and it's going to be a big chunk. And for those people saying he's only getting $2 million right now, it still counts $46 million against their luxury tax, regardless of if they're paying $2 million this season, because the present day calculation has his deal at 46 million. It's it's going to be really interesting in how the Dodgers maneuver around those crazy high fees that they're going to be paying with Otani. Um,
I
Anything else
I
you got on
almost feel like
Otani?
I always
Yeah,
feel like they have to win at least two World Series, and he has to be a key contributor for it to be worth it.
I agree. Otherwise, they're winning it in despite of that contract, and I don't know.
Like I'd even argue
It's
three.
uh, yeah, it's hard to justify that huge amount of money, especially because we don't know how it's going to play out. Now, we'll say it this way: if the first 7 years of Otani's career if you're guaranteed to get that over those 10 years, then maybe you could argue that it's worth doing. But anyway, moving forward, my next pick. Are you ready for the next pick, right then?
Yeah, I am.
All right, my next pick here. Uh, it's not a huge number here, but it's Robbie Ray. Um, he signed his deal after being a Cy Young. He's barely pitched on this deal. He has 50 million over 2 seasons remaining on it. Um, he just now pitched for the Giants. I think he's only been there for a full season, but has not pitched on this deal. Hasn't pitched very well on this deal. Um, I don't think he's going to be a bad major league starter. He'll probably be an average major league starter over the next 2 years, but that's not worth $25 million a season. That's how I would put it with Robbie Ray. Um, yeah, Finn, what's your what's your next pick if you have anything, or if you have anything on Robbie Ray, your turn.
On Robbie Ray, yeah, you're right. He's just not healthy. $25 million is a lot of money to pay to somebody who is not healthy.
Yeah, and even when he's healthy, it hasn't been worth the amount of money that he's getting paid.
And as a Mets fan, this aches my heart because he was our former ace. My next pick is Jacob DeGrom.
Yeah. Um, yeah, give me the number on this one, Finn.
Let me pull up this number right quick. But while I'm doing that, I'll give my spiel. My spiel is that he just has not been healthy, and he is making at least $35 million.
Yeah. Um, it was signed.
Okay,
All right, here me. Let me.
48, 78 plus 57, whatever that is. Let me do the calculations real quick.
All right, let
80
me pull it up.
plus
Just go ahead. Go ahead.
57.
Talk about it.
135 million over 4 years.
That doesn't sound right.
I think I
Uh,
included the club option. So 115 over
okay.
3.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead and talk about it real quick. I'll get the number right.
As I was saying, he has not been healthy, and he is making money like he is a Cy Young arm. But he has not even been on the mound.
Yeah. It's not even like he's made a Cy Young. It's that he is pitching at an all-time great level. 115 over 3 was the number I came to. Um,
Yeah, I
it's
accidentally included a club option on that at the end that I don't
yeah,
think they take. They should not take.
yeah. So it's assuming that you're getting 2021 DeGrom, but over a full season, or like you're getting his 2019 and 2018 seasons. That it's assuming you're getting that DeGrom, and it is almost impossible to say that we're going to get that Jacob DeGrom. Um,
Uh,
yeah, I don't know how else to say, but he's not. It's unlikely that he is the level of pitcher to justify getting that much money, regardless of the injuries. You know.
It
Anything else, Finn?
also it also doesn't help. Once again, another guy with a second Tommy John, and you never know how good they are going to be coming back from that type of an injury.
Yeah. Uh, very very shaky usually coming off of two Tommy Johns. Um, yeah. Let me do this math here. You got anything else before I go to my next pick?
I don't.
All right. Well, I think this is a little bit of a controversial one. I don't. We've stayed pretty clear of the sun here. Um, but this might be one of our more controversial ones. Matt Olson, uh, 110 over 5. Now, I don't think this is a horrible one. It's just you kind of need him to produce at least at an all-star level, and he's only done that once over the past 2 seasons. His first year in Atlanta was not worth $22 million. This season in Atlanta, not worth $22 million. You could argue that last season was worth more than $22 million, but it is. Are we betting that Matt Olson's going to hit 55 home runs again on on the remaining terms of this contract? I sincerely doubt it. Um, 5 more seasons and a guy that you don't know what you're going to get out of him. He's making top 50 salary. It is very likely that he is not even a top 50 player in the league. So, yeah, anything you have on Matt Olson, Finn?
I have to agree. I do not think I could even see him hitting 50, yet alone 55. and I'd be surprised to see him hitting any more than 40.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a deal that I expected to be a bad one when it was signed, but it's not looking like it's a great one. And we're at the point where none of these deals I think are really bad at this point. But yeah, if I'm picking if I want to have a contract or two here, I'd rather not have this Matt Olson one. So yeah, you got your next pick. Whenever you got it, go ahead.
My next pick is Rafael Devers, who's making MVP money and not hitting like an MVP.
You say he's not hitting like an MVP right now? Because I would argue he kind of is, Finn. Just playing devil's advocate, of course. But if you don't think he's going to hit like an MVP over the stretch of that contract, then it's perfectly fair.
I don't think he will.
Yeah, and there, I mean, there is questions about uh, his defense as well. You have the terms on his deal.
I'm getting the terms of his deal currently.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with Devers too is he definitely won't stick at third base too much longer. You would hope. As of right now, he's sticking there, but that is almost because they have first base blocked. If they didn't have first base blocked, I don't know if he would be still at third for most teams. So yeah, um, just whatever you got, Finn. Whenever you got the number, let me know.
Okay, 250.8 million over 8 years.
258 over 8.
250.8.
Okay. Yeah, certainly. I mean that's one that we maybe could have, with the risk of him becoming a first baseman who doesn't hit enough. That is certainly one that you probably don't want to have. I definitely see where you're coming from on that one. Um, is my
I
math?
have him.
Yeah, 31
I have
annually.
him as my last pick because of his production currently. But I do not believe that he will have any more than 3 seasons of above average of an MVP caliber play. He's getting
Yeah,
paid like he is an MVP caliber player.
yeah, and you can argue that he probably doesn't. You can argue that he's probably having his career season right now, which is, I do think it's very brave of you to say that in his MVP season because a lot of time, you're going to get immediate pushback on that, but that could age
Oh,
very
I
wellly.
I very much bet you we're gonna get pushback on that podcast for that pick.
Yeah, that's one that I think could get immediate pushback, but I don't see it as an impossible one to be wrong on. Um, I'm going to look at one more player here, and then I'm going to have my last pick, and then we can go over a couple other um, names that we want to talk about, or we can just go over the picks that we have made. Um, oh man, okay, yeah, I'm torn between two names here. Um, uh, okay, yeah, we're gonna have an honorable mention for sure. Um, this is 4 years. What's that? 60. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go with this one just because of the sheer like number on this contract. I'm gonna mention the other name I was thinking of, Garrett Cole. Um, big contract, 144, over 4 remaining on the deal. Um, sure, he won Cy Young last full season he pitched. You look at the peripheral numbers; they weren't as high on Garrett Cole. So there is very good reason to believe that when he actually pitches, he is not close to a Cy Young caliber player. He's getting paid to do that for the next 4 seasons. Um, yeah, not a contract that I want to have any part of. And I think this is maybe one of the more untradeable contracts in the league as well, just because of how big it is. Like it's 36 million a year, almost untradeable. I think similar with Devers. Anything you have on Cole
Also,
Finn?
his health scare from this year almost makes me wonder if you're going to even get the amount of innings that that contract deserves.
Yeah, that you would expect on that contract. Um, yeah, that's basically all I have on Cole. I'll get it out the way. The other name I was thinking of, Yu Darvish, he's around 68 million over the next 4 seasons. I don't think it's as bad because that contract is very movable towards the end of it, and it's not a big number. I could very well see Cole and Darvish giving you similar production over the next 2 seasons, but I could also see Darvish being out of the league. Uh, and that's why it could also be worse. But yeah, do you have any other names that you want to bring up, or do we want to go over just some of the names that we did select already?
I don't really have any other names that I feel like deserve being brought up.
Yeah, I don't either. I think large part of this is the recent Boris deals were only 1+1s or 1+2s. Um, yeah,
There's some that have big value for quite a long time, like Francisco Lindor. But if he's even a slightly below average hitter and keeps his defense, that's not necessarily a bad contract.
yeah. I had a group of guys with Lindor, Turner, Correa, Seager, and Betts, where it's like these guys play premium positions. They hit really well still. Um, if they were performing, if they weren't performing still, then there would be an argument that they should be on here, and it's probably in the range where Swanson was selected. But these guys are performing really well. Similarly with Aaron Judge, you know, those guys are just performing so well that I need to see him perform bad. Another name I considered was Tyler Glass. Now, the Dodgers gave him that contract basically instantly. It was like 97. It's 97 million over the next 3 seasons, and there was almost no reason to do it instantly. So, yeah, you got anything on any of those names?
Honestly, I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. Another one that I just want to throw out there because I don't think I have really uh, a reason to put it on this list because there's no way it's bad. But I just want to call out the Alex Anthopoulos Chris Sale extension. Um, Maybe this is a hot take because Chris Sale is having an amazing season, but he gave Sale that extension as soon as trading for him, and he didn't really get a discount on it. I feel if Sale hits the open market this summer, he would have gotten not really much more than he got on that extension, and you know it's not no money either. It's 20 million this season. But yeah, if you want to comment on Sale there, you can. That's
I would
that's
like to comment on Sale. I'm pretty sure that he had a no trade clause on there that he waived to go to Atlanta.
interesting.
And one of the conditions of his waiving was that he had the contract.
Okay, yeah, okay. I didn't even know that. That's actually some insight. I didn't know that. So
But
yeah,
let
maybe
me fact checked myself.
yeah. So yeah, if that's the case, I see it. But even if so, like you still gave up some stuff to get Sale. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it was indeed a no trade clause that he waived.
okay, and it was to have the extension in place. That's interesting.
I'd
Yeah,
imagine that the extension was part of it, although I can't find anything that strictly says it.
yeah. Well, I mean, if that was said, then I don't see the extension itself being bad. All right, yeah. So just to go over the list here, Xander Bogarts first overall, Chris Bryant second, Carlos Rodon, Giancarlo Stanton, Trout, Machado, Arenado, Strasburg, Rendon, Baez, Story, Yelich. Scroll down here. Benintendi, Swanson, Otani, Ray, DeGrom, Olson, Devers, Cole. Uh, in this list itself, Finn, do you have any amendments that you might want to make here, or do you kind of like the list that we made?
I kind of like the list that we made.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good too. I don't, you know, maybe.
I might want to make some order amendments, but I think we do have the players
Yeah, do you have
pretty
any
good.
order amendment that you do want to make? That if this was a list, you would make?
Yes, I do. I think I would have Devers. I think I would have Devers is the very last pick if he made the list.
Okay, yeah,
Swap
yeah.
Devers and Cole.
I'll
I
say
would
this.
also have Otani a little lower.
Yeah, I'll say this. I think if we are making a list realistically without having the human element, I think Strasburg is probably the worst. But
I I have to agree.
then you could argue that some of these contracts are negatives, which in that part maybe Baez and Story are actually worse. But like, you know, we're assuming that yeah, realistically, if we're looking at it on a pure numbers way, Strasburg's probably the worst. Maybe Story or Baez are bad too because they're probably giving you negative. But yeah, if you have any other comments to make, go ahead and make them. Other than that, I think we're basically done here. What do you think, Finn?
Yeah, I think we're done. It'll be nice to see you in the next video.
Yeah, so the next one is going to be the MLB trade values rankings. That'll be coming out 2 days after this one. Should be on YouTube and other streaming platforms. Other than that, this is the No Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Al Finn McDonald. How are you doing? Are you leaving?
Yes, I'm leaving.
All right. We'll stop the record.